Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, and once again we are joined by Zoria Triglov, the cutest puppy in the world. She's wanted to show off today, but here she is. She's been a complete cuddle bug this morning, but you know, just wanted to make sure that you guys get your dog time in before we go and blow up some structures and talk about some finances and stuff. So there you go. Let's go ahead and get started. I've been Ashrothi. What am I talking about? Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is March, I think, January, March. Yeah, March 6th, YC128. This is the Evildoers Show. Welcome, 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 guys. Where's my thing? Eve Online. There we go. All right. Today we got our pelled up and everything like that because we are going to be bashing this structure right here. Yeah, I've been Ashrothi. Bye, guys. We can see here that this structure currently is sitting at 13 minutes and 55 seconds. So this is how this is going to play out. This structure we bashed yesterday on stream. We got a really short timer, so unfortunately not a lot of people were able to like join in or whatever. But ultimately I think people were just interested in hold on a second. Yeah. People were more weren't I didn't get a whole bunch of people like, oh my god, let me come bash your structure. So instead, we're just going to blow it up on stream and give out some prizes while we do so. So there is a raffle going on right now. If you want an exclamation point plunder for your chance to win, we will keep that going until the structure explodes, and then we will give away, let's go with five skins. We'll just do 5 different skins. So you know, I'll good chance of getting at least some sort of victory. It'll be a choice between the skins that I have available and the skinners that we have, including a new one which was made by Thrans. Hold on, let me pull that up real quick. Because today I am flying in my Babaraga because I make poor decisions. I decided that, like, in order for, because of the fact that we couldn't do like a big show of it or whatever, instead we will just come with the Babaraga. So this is the new skin that's added to the collection. But of course you can pick any of the skins that are in my kind of collection of skins to get, including this Kiki, this Executor, this Bantam, this what is this thing? Procurer. We have a Perseverance, a Synesis, excellent transportation ship, a Inquisitor, my Dark Cerberus, which of course the Dark Cerberus is an amazing Abyss setup, and the Burst, and an extra special, hold on. All of these Skinner skins that I give away on my stream are provided by Franz and or Punch, although today's new ones are Punches. We also are adding this Pretty in Pink skin, which is for the Tristan. Amazing skin. Actually, this is unironically a really awesome skin because the Tristan is such a troll ship often. And then of course, I guess he gave me a second one of these. So I have to decide which one of these I want and then which one of these I'm going to give away. So we're going to buy this one and we're going to buy this one. So now it's in my collection so we can do giveaways for it. But more importantly, I got to decide which one of these two that I want to actually apply because they're slightly different. They are unique. This one, I can see like the texture and the hexes have a little bit more, while this one has a flatter just hex. So I think I actually want the one that has a little bit more broken upness to the hexes in the pink. So I'm going to grab this one. And you guys can potentially get the other one if you win the prize. So I think I just hit activate and apply, right? Here we go. There it is. Hold on. No light. I need sun. Are you guys needing to get in fleet? There we go. That is pretty. Oh, it's also the big problem is that my ship is dirty. So I'm going to clean my ship. There we go. Now the reflectiveness of it is going to stand out a little bit more. Yeah, the one this one I have is I think the unique one. Dang it, I need. It's crazy how much the light is just eaten by the black, you know? Hold on, let's get a good shot. Can we do that? Is this gonna work? I mean, it's still not showing off the skin too much. It's too dark. If you win, you want the Barbie skin? Hey, I mean, that's the point. We've got different skins. No judgment for your preference. Outside of the studio, you can't tell the difference? I mean, I assume that you could, we would be able to tell the difference if I had both those skins and I was able to swap between them. I was able to easily tell the difference between the two, just because of the patterns on the hexes, which, you're right, I'm having difficulty showing that off right now because we're in, I want to say we're in the shadow, but like the light should be right there. This should be, like, arguably it should be well lit, but it's not reflecting in the way that I would expect it to around here. But we'll play around with it in a little bit. Probably more than I probably should given the value of this thing, but you know, we're here. Oh, the Barbaroga skin. Yeah, that's fine. So we have 7 minutes left before we begin our bash. Let us talk a little bit about the news while we wait. What do we got? What do we got? What? I keep bumping into this mic. Hold on. Is that bat problem? I think the audio should be still fine. Hopefully this is still fine. I think the lighter hex pattern that you have is the newer non-unique if I ever print another skin. Well, all right then. I don't know whether or not I have the unique skin or not. I do like it though. There's a reason why when you said that you didn't want, that you were like, oh, you know, this one's for giveaway. I was like, I don't know about all that. Okay. Turning on my, oh, hold on. Okay. So a couple news items that we want to cover while we wait. This is not it, because as far as patches go, there is no new patch today that I saw. Hold on one second. There we go. I think that works. Okay, so there was no new patch today. In fact, we can go to HoboLeaks 2, which means that there's something else that we need to explore when this is done. So one of the things that was pointed out to me, if you remember at the end of yesterday's stream, we went to ULI because in HoboLeaks, I don't have ready to go for some reason. In HoboLeaks, we have a patch from yesterday, and this patch added in the new systems, the newbie starter systems thing that they were talking about before. But it also put in this construction warehouse and construction site, which I even pointed out that there must only be one because it says name for dungeon 14038, which I attempted. Are you in a Zern? No, I'm in a Barbaraga. We're in high sec. So I had said pretty definitive. In fact, today's going to be a lot of corrections, a couple of corrections. So I suggested that because this construction site was only put in once, if they were putting in multiple of them, then you would see each one of them like the strings put in. But that's actually not what, but it turns out that somebody found in the system of Amignon, which is actually directly next to here, at the gate to Intaki. So basically, remember, at one point, Intaki was fairly separated from the rest of the universe. Hold on a second. Let me just close this real quick, and we can open up the map. We can see that the system of Intaki was actually, like, we can see it's completely surrounded by Losec, right? And if we go to the faction warfare like map, we can see even better. Basically, most of these systems that are down here but not green used to be in the war zone, but were taken out of the war zone, right? Like that was the uprising thing. That was, you know, Silas Agard stepping in and taking Intaki out of the war zone. It became a headquarters. It became a high-sec system, yada, yada, yada. We all know that. But as we can see here, there's this connection that goes all the way down to Amignon. This Stargate did not previously exist. This was the location of the Stargate that was originally going to connect, allegedly, to Othanoon, when the Othanoon events were going on. It's where the Caldari successfully built their Stargate, but the Gallente failed to build theirs. That was to Othanoon, and then this Amignon Stargate was redirected to point towards Intaki. What's interesting about this is that if I go one jump over, which we will in a little bit, you will see that there's actually a construction site that was put in that looks very, very similar to the construction site that we looked at in the previous, or yesterday. But the tower is Gallente, not Caldari, and it's patterned as Federation Navy, but otherwise it's the same thing with like 3 towers and a bunch of boxes and 1 warehouse or whatever. So that's really interesting because that means, and also like I think if you go to like the what do they do, is it activity? D&D agent site report, right? So we do that to see the different sites. We can see the different sites here. These are like beacons or like, you know, just like locations, landmarks and stuff. We used that to find it last time. But in Amignon, oh no, it is right there. It's right there. Somebody lied to me. No, it's there. Also, oh, hey, look, friends. So there's a new construction site there, which means there are multiple construction sites. What could they be building there? I have a theory. So one of the things that we're going to do today, you know, we're going to cover the MER, we're going to blow up this structure, but we also are going to go check out that site, and I want to test a theory. And we're going to see if we can find the Caldari one, the Mimitar one, or the MER one. We'll figure out which one it is later. But my theory is now that there's one of these per, right? In fact, we can actually kind of probably look a little bit into it now. Hold on, let me see how much time is left. How much time is left on the timer? Let's look. 18:03, 2 more minutes. So if we go to not Tantalin, where is Alsavoinen? This is a long connection. Oh, that's Zarzak. That's why. That doesn't count. Trying to find where some of these things are in like real space. Okay, hold on. Is this it? Nope. There's Tama. I'm looking for, here, we can just search for it. Samanuni. And so we're looking for a construction site near here. Newly constructed station, that's not it. Abandoned mining facility. Stronghold. It's interesting because, like, my prediction is that there should be one of these for each one of them. because my thought is that what they're doing here is basically creating the out points for the tutorial system. So, you know, Intaki being adjacent to the headquarters makes it a great location for them to build the out point, where it's like, okay, well, here you are in Intaki. That's like the main place. So I assumed that Samanuni would be basically the same thing, but it's not. So that's going to be interesting to go look at. Mike, what could they be constructing there? That's what my point is. I think what they would be constructing there would be the out point. We're definitely going to have to look for more of these then. But it is time to bash. Some occult. We're going to go into Bastion and shoot. That's a pretty ship right there. And it folds all the way open. Okay, we bastioned earlier without shooting, and it didn't quite fold all the way open. You can definitely see a difference there. That is mean looking. There's the difference between a Leshak. It's not that different, honestly. There's the Leshak. You can tell that there's no like bastion particle effects around it, whereas this one has the effects down here too. So there was a bit of a question as to why we are doing this. So the problem is if you try to unanchor it, right, which would be the other option, the issue with unanchoring it would be so it takes a week to unanchor, right? But people can see that it is unanchoring. And I believe that when you unanchor it, it actually shuts off its services. When a structure goes for 7 days without a service running, then it becomes abandoned. And so your actual threat is that if you begin to unanchor it, someone can notice that, wait until like the last day or like the day before the last day, war deck you, hit it right before it finishes unanchoring, which stops the unanchoring process and locks out everything because now it's taken damage. Do services take? I don't know. This is the reason why we weren't 100% sure, and I didn't really feel like figuring it out. But the point was is that we were concerned that there would be some sort of trickery that would allow a person to force it to go abandoned. So that's why we are ultimately just bashing it first, right? So I'm more worried about ninja looters. Well, when it bashes, like the only thing that's going to drop is some salvage, the core, like everybody's stuff goes into asset safety. And because we're in the same station, or you know there's stations in the, or there's structure, yeah, there's stations in the same system, it's only like 0.5% to do asset safety. Oh yeah. No. That can absolutely happen, where you can ninja somebody's station because they don't pick it up on time. That is absolutely a thing that can happen, and also something I was concerned about too, for sure. That's why one of the reasons why the exact timer for the unanchoring is always like such a big secret to corporations. We are deflecting, so we've hit maximum damage. Unfortunately, I don't know if that impacts my DPS meter. That said, I'm sitting at 3,000 DPS out. Jesus. Yeah, I'm at 4,000. I'm fully ramped, and we're doing 4,000 damage per second. No, we're not reset. Yeah, nobody really showed too big of an, like, nobody was like, oh my god, I want to get in on it, but they weren't able to get on it, and Malak was just like, I want it blown up. So we're blowing it up. But we are doing a raffle right now, so make sure to exclamation point plunder. We're going to do 5 giveaways based on that one thing. So hopefully, like, a lot of people are going to trying to maximize the number of people that actually manage to get a reward for being part of it. big boom booms. Yep, we're going to see that today. Okay, a couple other things while we're going over this instead of the main news for the day. I do want to make a couple of corrections. The other day, I commented about how Iceland or CCP received the key to the city. I have no idea where I got that particular detail in my head. The key to the city of Reykjavik. I've repeated it multiple times, and it wasn't until I think it was Seventh Heaven commented on it today or the other day or yesterday, I think it was, that I like thought about it a little bit more or went to go look it up, and I could not find it. It was very much a Mandela effect kind of thing. Trampy, go ahead and exclamation point plunder to get into the giveaway. That said, it wasn't based on nothing. What actually happened was Iceland did very, very well recovering from the economic downturn of the banking crisis. Now, what's fun about that is that part of the reason why was because they went after their banking dudes, and one of the people that really did that ended up becoming CCP Ghost. But we can see in this article that was posted in 2013, people queue up to wait, blah, 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 distribute food aid at a warehouse. Iceland's biggest IT company, CCP, is what the island needs to leave its economic crisis behind. And then more importantly, the award that I was thinking about, the one that I was I thought that, or that I got confused with, was this one, which was that they actually received what was known as the Export Award from Iceland, not the city. They didn't get the reward from the city. It was actually that they received like a national recognition for how much CCP games functioned as a stabilizing force during their economic crisis. Your plunder didn't work. Why didn't your plunder work? Let me go look at that real quick. Can I look at that real quick? Here it is. Just try it again. I don't know why it didn't work, but try it again. Everybody else has gotten in fine. No, I mean, I'd just try it again. You might as well have a shot. What the hell? Is it okay? There's all that crazy stuff about they have to like the stream or whatever. I've made sure that in the settings, that's not like there's nothing that actually requires that. I think it's just a matter of like the bot and whether or not like Eve or YouTube is like the chat API is working correctly at any given time. I don't know. You can try it a few more times. We've got plenty of time before it works out. So this is what I was talking about, though. So this actually did happen. Why? That's so weird. I want to know why why you can't get it and everybody else can. That's what I want to know. I mean, I assume that they have done those things. I swear to God, I am not doing this on purpose to try to get people to like, comment, or subscribe, which you all should. But I'm not trying to do some sort of like false engagement, I promise. All right. Anywho, just wanted to make sure to bring that up. I thought it was pretty fun. Also, but there is another piece to all of this, which is that the mayor of Iceland... Now I've got to watch this whole thing. Hold on. Oh, see? Everybody else gets one. So it's not broken. It's just Ada doesn't get to do it. I wonder... No? See, this is where bug testing comes in play, right? Like, why would it not do his, or theirs rather, and would do everybody else's? At any rate, there is another cool story that this reminded me of that I wanted to bring to people's attention, just because we're talking about fun things that CCP has done in the past. So the mayor of Reykjavik, at one point, he was a comedian. And as part of that, actually participated in. So CCP got started making this game called the Danger Game for Iceland, and so this guy, who at the time was just a comedian, decided to be like the front cover of this Danger Game dressed in drag. And what's fun is that they eventually go on to become the mayor of Iceland, which is why if you check out the Eve second decade collector's edition, it comes with the Danger Game. They republished it in the collector's edition, and they used a bunch of CCP staff for the pictures, but they also did get the mayor back in to take his pictures as this character. Oh, it's Wings and Ida that haven't. Maybe it is a character at the beginning. Could it just be a character at the beginning? Or a number, I mean. Seventh Heaven got in. I don't know what your guys' problem is. Oh, Wings also didn't get in when the other two people at that exact time didn't? That's so weird. So, I guess, full disclosure, no judgment. Wings and Ada, are you subscribed and have you liked the stream? Again, I'm just wondering what might be causing this. I don't care. Feel free, if you don't want to like the stream, then I'm not going to make you. I'm curious. Subbed and liked, but it's like whatever. That's so weird, though. Yeah, this is the epilepsy missiles for sure. So, any rate, yeah, just some fun little history of EVE Online and kind of what they've done in the past. But also, while we wait for this bash to go on, I've invited him multiple times, but I can invite him again. Free move is also now on. So feel free to take your spots. What's up, Punch? All right. So the other piece of news I want to talk, Java blockers to make stuff as good there. It's just so weird because it should just like it's just reading off the text from the stream. Can I ask you to do it one more time? And yes, I got that. Yes, thank you. No special. Both of you just try it one more time. Exclamation point plunder. I'm just now my troubleshooting brain. It just worked that time. Okay, so there is no. You haven't changed. Ada, please. Please don't drive me mad. You haven't changed anything between the previous attempts and this attempt, right? That Pink Tristan is very nice. Yes. Okay. Whatever. Fine. We'll just continue with the news. So one of the big news items today is the first decade of Project Discovery. We're going to see a lot of stuff like this over the next couple of months as we get closer and closer to FanFest. Project Discovery is a big piece, is often shown off at FanFest or whatever. Hey, you guys both got in. Awesome. Anything to make me feel completely powerless to control my own stream, right? Let's jump into this. Scientific Capsuleers. About a decade ago, on 8th of March 2016, a meaningful step was taken on CCP's game's mission to create virtual worlds with more meaningful than real life. Some of you guys may not actually know this, but that is that is the mission statement of CCP. Like, it may sound like overblown or whatever, but you see this when they talk about Frontier and even EVE Online. You know, the very beginning of the EVE Online design document is death is a serious matter, but the overall mission of CCP is to create virtual worlds more meaningful than real life, which there's a whole thing about that. But regardless, the question was posed whether EVE pilots could contribute to real science in a meaningful way at a scale that made a difference in important research. The answer was definitive. Nearly 1 billion classifications, 471 years of cumulative analysis time, over 1.9 million participants across 3 phases of research spanning cellular biology, astrophysics, and cancer immunology. That's more than a footnote in the history of New Eden. It's a body of work that has changed the way scientists think about what citizen scientists can achieve. Okay, I'm being taken out a little bit. I feel like all of our brains have been a little bit wired to like hunt for AI, like ChatGPT copy, and this, like, that's more than a footnote in history in New Eden. It's a body of work that has changed the way scientists think about what citizen science can achieve. This line, the rest of it's fine. This line feels so ChatGPT to me. Anyway, sorry. What you've built. In 2016, Project Discovery helped map protein locations inside human cells. Those classifications contributed to research published by Nature Biotechnology, one of the most respected scientific journals in the world. This is actually a big deal. Big deal. For those of you who do not know about Project Discovery or anything, like what we have done with Project Discovery has been pretty significant on multiple occasions. So, you know, we did the Human Protein Atlas, worked with us originally, and, you know, it has been recorded how significant our efforts have been to the, you know, that field of research. Okay, I am going to interrupt this for just a second and jump back so that way people kind of understand what's going on. Since we're doing a structure bash, I want to say, like, okay, so just so that people understand like how structure bashes work, you know, yesterday we did the armor timer, and we can see that this timer is currently paused at 14 minutes and 42 seconds. 15 minutes is the normal repair time. So if we all stop shooting in 14 minutes and 42 seconds, this would fully repair. As long as we're doing enough damage, that gets paused. However, there used to be 3 timers, or 2 timers, three different phases of a medium structure, but that got removed. So now medium structures only have 2. So what's going to happen is, as we see this go into hull, we're going to see something really interesting. Boom. So now, because we're in hull, all of the services get shut off, which makes it go to low power, and the timer restarts at 30 minutes. This happens every single time when you're bashing, and now we're into hull, and we're just going to grind through the hull and blow it up. I missed the stars version of Project Discovery. Yeah, I actually really like the looking for exoplanets one. I've had to walk away from a few online stories I've been reading because of grammar. I'm guessing grammar programs adding AI verbosity and the need to do it for it to be witty. Yeah, it's weird because, like, prior to AI, the rise of like ChatGPT, most of those grammar systems were trying to actually cut down your verbiage, right? It's historically it's been seen that like using an excessive amount of words is bad. Pay no mind to my alt speed. Well, now I'm going to. Uh-oh. Who's this? Are you going to try to be a troublemaker? Did he just dock in our station? I mean, it is... No, we have 0. He cloaked? He cloaked. Well, we'll see. Either way. So in 2017, the attention shifted to the stars, analyzing light curves and real telescopes to identify exoplanets' traverse events. This was in collaboration with the team of the Nobel laureate Michael MER, who discovered the first exoplanet orbiting a sun-like star. I do want to know more about like where that we got a lot of information about how the Human Protein Atlas was processed and worked, but I don't know if we ever got too much information about what they got out of our exoplanet research. 2020 introduced a most complex challenge yet, classifying human cell data into to support cancer research. And Phase 4 expanded on that work into new cancer data sets. So, you know, it actually, if I remember correctly, it started with COVID, right? Like this was supposed to also be helping out with COVID research, and Phase 4 focused it more on cancer, if I remember correctly. But either way, Project Discovery is received a Webby Award, a Falling Walls Engage Prize, an honorary mention in the European Union Prize for Citizen Science, and a recognition from the IGDA. Most importantly, though, nearly 29,000 of you have been there for all 3 phases, contributing to real-world science for a decade. This amount of contribution to science would have taken a single person 471 years of continuous work to achieve, bridging huge gaps in funding and research time. Thank you all for your service. Boom. Look, new skins. To celebrate the first decade of Project Discovery, every pilot who has participated will receive a special anniversary skin in recognition for the contribution. I assume that just means if you've ever done any Project Discovery on your character at any point in time, but I don't know. It's a small token in comparison to your contribution, but it carries the weight of everything that this project means. The skins will be available on the 13th of March, and if it looks like it's going to be the Pacifier, the Marshal, and the Enforcer. And then a full decade of research deserves a proper celebration. Project Discovery will have a dedicated presence at Eve FanFest where you can explore all of its achievements and get a glimpse as to what comes next. So very cool. We get new skins for ships that most people don't have. The Pacifier is really good. Yeah. Oh, shit. Here we go. Boom. I don't know why I didn't hear a boom. All right. Very cool. What's happening now? Wait, why are we blowing up people? Who just blew up Cal? Wait, who's... What are we doing? Guys, what are we doing? Oh boy. Why? Really? All right. All right. That's weird. That's a choice. Something tells me our politics just got a little bit more complicated. Neat. Okay. What? Why do we have just a Sleipnir? Wait. This is crazy. All right. I have locked the Sleipnir. I don't know if it has an owner, though. I don't think it has an owner. What is happening? How exciting. Yep. It doesn't have an owner, which means me locking it doesn't do anything. Well, I mean, you know, people can burn their relationships however they want. This is a choice. It is kind of, yeah, we Is it because you had a suspect flag? Oh, you okay. Well, Malak, hop into comms with me and tell me when to unlock the ship if you need me to unlock the ship. What is happening? Wait. Oh, here comes somebody to steal it. Here we go. Well, there's that other pod there. It's Lilith. He's the only person that joined the war, right? I mean, he's the only person that joined the war. Oh, they can't hear you right now. That's fair. Hold on. Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So you looted it, but went suspect, and that caused him to.
Yeah. And I was also just momentarily shocked because there was a Sleipnir there. So I launched a Sleipnir, and then I noticed I was warp scrammed. I was like, oh well.
Fair enough. All right. Well, he left. Are you ready to board the Sleipnir?
I am not within range yet.
Okay. What a choice.
All right, I am in range.
All right, I'm gonna break lock now.
Is Thran's in here too? Thran said that he was locked. Okay. Saying 10 seconds.
Okay.
Fine, I'm just spamming it, so.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
Looks like you got it. Excellent. Yeah, the upwell core is worth like 500 million or whatever. It's actually not that much.
I'm going to be checking to see what implants I had in, because that's likely going to be the majority of the cost.
That's unfortunate. Well,
yeah, provided they want to maintain their diplomatic.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's exciting.
I mean, if it is Lilith, he should definitely know who my ult is.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
All right, I'm docked.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna hop out and unmute.
All right, sounds good. Well, that's exciting. Oh, good. And there's eating. Oh, why did I come to this station? No. I didn't want to come to this station. Oh, no. What exactly happened? I'll get to that. Let me dock up first and get shot at by from some eating calm gun stars, and then I'll explain. Pink. So, okay. What a weird... Hold on. Let me... All right. So what happened there was... In order to, so when we blow up the structure, the loot drops, and the main loot is going to be the core, although technically speaking, there's still a bunch of salvage there to be picked up, but that's neither here nor there. So we had our one of the allies in the group was there, and the problem is that when we blow up the structure, the loot belongs to us, and so. If he had the character that was scooping the loot was not in the fleet and therefore didn't actually have rights to take the loot. So he had to go suspect to grab the core. And one of the people that were there to assist us grabbed him when he did that and blew up his deluge and capsule. So that is 200 million worth of implants and 400 million worth of ship, including the quantum core and the manufacturing plant, which both dropped, but now didn't drop the second time. So the core always drops no matter what, so it did drop, but that means that the manufacturing plant and the fuel blocks were just destroyed, as well as the implants. I mean, it's a choice. That is a way that it could play out. There might be consequences to it, but we'll see. But that is what happened, as it were. And then I still don't 100% know why a Sleipnir popped out of nowhere. I assume that what actually happened was that Sleipnir was in manufacturing. I believe if something is being in manufacturing and completed, when the structure gets blown up, it actually does drop. I think that's one of that's like the way that can happen. So there's an unfit Sleipnir that dropped, which got an unmanned Sleipnir that got dropped, which is what we ended up getting. And the ship that we used to try to grab the core got. That's what happened. So let us continue with our day. It is kind of funny that a Sleipnir... Well, it's both funny and troubling. Like that. One of the things about this is I can't wait to start hearing from everybody who had a job at the time. Luckily, we didn't get like a bunch of minerals or other weird stuff, like no blueprints dropped or anything like that, which I was kind of afraid of based on different states of things. But yeah, either way, we're going to grab this hound and go next door and look at what we were talking about before. And then we can look at... somebody needs to name that ship and store it. Yeah. Was it fit, Malak? Or was it brand new, straight off the oven? It was unfit. Oh, it was packaged? How did it become unpacked? Oh, you got that from the Sleipnir opened it up. Or sorry, the deluge, you opened it up and you saw that there was a Sleipnir there, and so you launched it, I assume? And that's how it ended up there? We're all learning stuff about mechanics today, aren't we? What we should have done, the correct answer there would have been to have a second character that was okay with going suspect be the person that moves the stuff into... well, you'd want to use a torrent instead of a deluge in that case, so that way you'd have a fleet hangar. But... hey, choices have been made. Okay, so now we are in the system of a Mignon. And we're at the Intaki Stargate. So this is the Stargate that got built during the Othanoon kind of crisis. It was originally going to be pointed towards Othanoon, we believe, but then it eventually got used to connect to Intaki. So, you know, and we saw that there was a bunch of fortification on the other side, but that's true about, I think, all of the gates now at major headquarters systems. And so we can actually look in space, probably, and see, yep. So we see this construction site here. And if we warp to the construction site, name the Sleipnir, choices have been made. Yes. My peak DPS was 7,000 DPS. That is so wild. I must have wrecked, and that's why I got that much. What if they're building the Unicorn Gate? Maybe. I think that so the key here is going to be to find the rest of them, right? Yeah, we're going to do the skin giveaway immediately after this. So make sure to get in if you haven't already. So if we look here, yesterday the ones that we looked at were Concord and used Caldari towers. This one is definitely a Galente tower, and we can see that it is covered in Caldari navy, or sorry, Galente navy rather. Although some of these, that doesn't look... Is that colored, or is that just what it looks like? I don't think this has the ability to be colored different things. The Gallente Construction Warehouse is just flat gray. Wait, this one says Gallente Construction Warehouse. Wait, hold on. So in Hobo Leaks, we only have that one construction site. Hold on. I think probably what happened was I wonder if what they did was, hold on. I think they snuck these in before. They must have snuck these in before. Hold on a second. I'm looking for something real quick. Federation. Hold on. No, because this only has the one construction warehouse on this one. When did they add in the string Gallente Construction Warehouse? I wonder if what they did was they used the old ones. Yeah, that is almost certainly what they did. They actually got really sneaky. Normally, they like copy the site, and so we'd get all of the strings again. But it looks like they actually reused the stuff from Uprising. We can see here, like, this is from, what, 1,223 days ago. And we see, like, this is when Interbus became Evermore, although this is a change in Singularity. So, that happened way back then. So we can see, I think this is MPE stuff. Yeah, this is all MPE strings. And we can see, like, this is when Iris is introduced. This is when Paragon is introduced. So I think this is basically around the time of... yeah, this is the update. This is Uprising. I'm almost certain of it. Or at least very close to Uprising, because it was like when people... Yeah, because here's the string for Frontline second line. It was originally called Second Line and Backline Systems. So this is really, like, old or whatever. But in this, we see... There is the Gallente Construction Warehouse. But we don't have a we don't have a Caldari Construction Warehouse? This is what I want to know, is that, like, is there more construction sites besides this Gallente one? Is it more than just Gallente and Concord? You know what, actually, now that I think about this, also, it's hard to say. This one could be related to the MPE, but remember, we also have the election thing coming on. So if we have other Gallente construction warehouses showing up elsewhere, then that might be a thing. We can go onto the map. We can see agent site report. Oh, that's Project Discovery, ironically enough. In Amignon, we can see construction site. So we can see it here. You can't find any other construction sites in any of the other empires. All right, well, let's think about where this might be. Let's go with Luminaire. If it is for the elections, then you would expect it to be at Luminaire, potentially. Nope. Federation Navy Security Command. Federation Navy Security Command. Maybe Valor? Would it be in Valor? Nope, not in Valor. Anyone else have any good guesses? Otherwise, I will just start the raffle. Could have sworn this week's stuff used a skybox from the Great Wildlands. No, the picture that they showed was actually the one in Concord, like the one at Uli. We went and looked at that one. That one was identified. You can come to Uli and see construction site right there too. Oh, you can no longer enter the raffle. Let's go ahead and do the giveaways. Okay. So, once again, this is going to be any of my skin collection. So, any of my scope skins that I have. Potentially we could look into other skins too, but how do I do? It should be all in Jita, right? So let's go ahead and look at. Yeah, we have Gila, Vedmak, Venture, Stratios, Vargar, Tempest, Raven, Prowler, Obelisk, Kestrel, Hecate, all of those, plus the Skinner ones that we have here, which is basically everything in the collection, just so we can show these all off, just in case for people that need to, or when you win, you can pick which one. So we have the Blingy Burst, we have Dark Cerberus, we have Dark Tiger, we have Drifter Sweep for the Synesis, we have Horizon Perseverance, which is a black Perseverance. We have the Kiki with, you know, very deathlessy themed, the black and teal that I really like. The Malro Procurer. The Malro Executor. Well, we'll sort that out later. That's a fun time. All I know is that I'm not the one that let them into the war. I probably would have if I hadn't thought about it too long, though. Pretty in Pink. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, either way, whatever. Honestly, of all of the bad things that could have happened, that was probably the least bad. I'm honestly low-key a little bit shocked that nobody managed to use their Pew Bears characters to come and kill our Babaragas. But, you know, whatever. And then finally, of course, the new Babaraga skin. That's what is up for grabs. So let's go ahead and do the giveaways. We're going to pull in. Right? Hold on. I can resume entries and I can cancel. Oh, I have to go to the winner tab. Right. 3, 2, 1. Morcar, you win a skin of your choice. You're the first winner. I need an in-game name to send it to, and your choice for which one you want. I'm pretty sure Morcar's here. Hello? You got like 10-15 seconds to say something, otherwise I'm going to move on. Hey, Ragtag, what'd you miss? Nothing. We blew up a structure. Somebody blew up one of our ships. You know, it was fun. It was definitely more eventful than I expected. All right, Morcar, here's your last chance. Going once. Going twice. All right. Well, we'll pull another one, and if he shows up, he'll be able to get one of the 5, but he might not get the one he wants. Let's go again. Malak Starfire. Malak, which skin do you want? You've got all of the scope syndication skins I have, plus the ones that are in the lineup that we showed off. Small constellation. You want the smoke? Okay, but which one? Okay, we'll worry about that one later. I've got multiple copies of a lot of them, so you're right. We'll worry about that later. Pulling again. Next. Hey, Javis. You wanted the Leshak or you wanted the Baba skin, right? Correct. And you want it on Johnny, right? Yep. Okay, great. So we're going to put it up for 2 weeks. We're going to make it available to a specific target. We're going to put in his name. We're going to put it in for 1 ISK. And wait, that didn't work. Hold on. There we go. All right, and go. Excellent. What's up, Team Oid? Let's see. We've got 2 more, I think. Well, technically 3. Next. Styx. Styxian River. You win a skin of your choice. Oh, right. Hey, Danny. How's it going? Very cool. You want this? You want the Serb, the Dark Serb? Okay. Congratulations to you. We're going to put that up for 2 weeks. We're going to put it up for specific target. Is that your full name? You can change that in like the Google options. I remember that, but because it auto finished it to be this name. Is that correct? Can you even read it? Okay, it's just Styx. Then why did it? Okay. Oh my God, your name. I'm gonna need you to have a different name. STYX, yeah. Just Styx, right? Because I don't see anybody who's just. Am I crazy here? Am I crazy? I'm concerned now. Did I didn't spell it wrong. Is it cap sensitive? I don't think so. I can't drag him in because it's non-modal. That's so weird. Yeah, you linked it in Fleet, but I can't. It's a non-modal window for no apparent reason. Specific target. Type in STYXX. That's exactly what I did. And it doesn't pull anything up. Oh, now it has. And again, it's just the list of all of these people without you. I can't give it to you. What is happening? There you are. You're definitely a person. I'm not going to make you do this right now. I'm reserving this. I'm reserving this one for you. We'll have to figure out like I might need to transfer it to a different character or whatever. But I'm not going to make you give up more names of your characters if you don't want to. So no, I don't have character ID via this. So I'll get it to you, but we'll do it off stream so we don't have to figure out how it all works with everybody watching. Okay. Well, this has so far gone really well. We've got 2 more to give away. Ready? And... Thrans! Thrans, you get one. Are you gonna... I'm assuming you're gonna get a scope syndication skin too. So we'll deal with that one later too. And I'll do one more winner. We have Dutch Gunner. Dutch Gunner, are you here? We're just gonna call this good. This is why I don't do giveaways. Dutch Gunner, which one do you want? Totally rigged. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Do you know which one you want? There, Dutch. That's so crazy. Yes, congratulations to those who won. For a good fate, give it to someone else. Okay, we're just going to make another run. Lady Steffi? Lady Steffi? Are you here? Okay, we got 2 more. Is Lady Steffi here? We'll just do both at the same time so that way we can see who wins first. And Pro Wing Z. It's so rigged you can't even give them out. Yeah, I know. Pro Wing Z. I'm glad that we went through all the effort to get you to apply or you know, to get your ticket in, because you apparently won. If you're still here. Hey, yeah, he is. All right, which one do you want? Not this one. That one's called for. The pink one is fine. Or if you have a special scope syndication skin from I think the first year of them that you want, I could get you one of those. WoW is not one of my skins, though. Okay. The Gila? Oh, you want the Gila scope syndication? Okay. I need an in-game name. Okay. What's funny is I could have done an like this for Styx, but it can't be in contract because it's Skinner, not an object, unfortunately. But that's probably you. Boom. Did I get everybody? Am I missing somebody still? Dutch Gunner hasn't picked one yet. All right, well, I'm going to have to clean this up after the fact, figure out how to get something to Styx. Styx, have you contacted me on Discord before? I can't remember. Well, either way, we'll sort it out afterwards. There you go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Fun. All right, so the question then is, does anyone know about any other construction sites, right? Because like Amygdon having a construction site is very interesting, but I wonder if there's any other construction sites running around right now. Mysterious probe, abandoned shipwreck, lots of abandoned things. Oh, it's in Taki. I want to feel like it would be in the other empires, and there would be only one in the Yantey space. But if it's part of the election system, you know, if it's for the upcoming MPE stuff, then that's one thing. But if it's part of the election, then you would expect potentially different. Wait, what about Lursatin? How do you spell Lursatin? Hold on. You can't find any. Hey, what's up, Cicero? Oh, I see. People are 07ing Javis. 07 to you, sorry. Lursatin. Dang it. When I paste, it doesn't, it pastes it after, it doesn't highlight it, so either way, whatever. In Lursatin, there's 4 records found. Why are you doing this? What is happening? Whatever. Nope. Nothing's here either. Huh. Well, we're just gonna have to keep an eye on this. And see if anything comes out of it. Megathron? Oh, you want the Megathron one? Okay. It's so weird. What? The Deathless Wraith Trader? Oh yeah, that's right. There's like a bunch of those in different places. Well, Lady says something? Where's Lady? Hey, Lady! I'm gonna still give you something. If you're interested in which skin that you want, I can show you the different ones or whatnot, but if you pick a skin, you win it. Or you get it. While I'm looking real quick. That's so weird. Frontier Stockade. Nope. Nothing jumps out. Did this get added in? I don't think anybody saw it yesterday. So did it get put in today, I wonder? Are we going to get more over the next couple of days? Has CCP posted anything about this particular news site? Because they posted about the other news site. Has there been any other teases about this one? Maybe they're rolling out one a day? Just joined the stream. What's going on? Yeah, not a lot. No, we just blew up our structure. That was fun. But now we are actually outside of the Yantey construction warehouse or zone, which is just outside of the Intaki Stargate. We can see here is the Intaki Stargate in Amignon, which was the one that was built during the Othanoon events, and then tied to Intaki after Uprising. But there is this new construction site. They showed off the construction site. They teased the construction site in July. And so we're like, oh, okay, this must be the entry point, or the exit point, I should say, from the new MPE that they're working on. The unicorn. What do you mean by a unicorn gate? So my thought is that like you do the MPE and then that like helps you get to each of the different areas. That's why it's like, oh, this is right next to the war headquarters. So if you're going to direct people in that direction, then this kind of makes sense. I think that this is probably, I wonder how much, if this is going to be a competition or whatever between the Gallente and Concord then? A Gallente regional gate leading to Uli? It could be. It'd be a weird one. Where is Uli in here? It's going to be where all of the landmarks are, right? Oh, I don't need this right now. It's in Genesis. 4. Ha! See? Told you. I mean, the problem is that it's 8 jumps between Amignon and Uli right now. So, Fifi, that's a great name. Did you want the Tristan or the Bantam? I can show you them if you want. Hold on. Yeah, Gallente is already like one of the most connected systems to Concord. That's why I think, like, if anything, I think that this has to do with the elections now. The Tristan. Excellent. And at least you have a name that's uncommon enough that I can put it in and it works. Okay. That should be all right. There you go. Congrats. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think that either we're going to see more of these over time, or this has to do with the election. No, you're the best. It's great. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And also thank you to Thrans for producing these skins and also making sure that you get it. You should be thanking Thrans. I'm just the guy that runs the stream in this case. Let's see. All right, I think I'm done randomly poking around at the map. I mean, it could be something MPE for sure. Like I said, like they might be rolling out more of these over time. Unsure exactly, but the fact that it's like Concord and Gallente, like if they're going to have an election and Concord is going to like have to step in some way to officiate it, then, you know, like the idea would be that there'd be multiple turn-in points for the stuff, and that's the only thing I can think of. Like those, or I'm just like brainstorming here based on what we've seen, right? The obvious one was the MPE, but if it's only the Gallente and the Concord that have one, then it's a little bit weirder. It's also worth noting that the Gallente are the only ones that don't have a wormhole system. So who knows? This is a weird one. It's also just kind of strange for the Gallente to be doing a major construction right now, given the fact that they have no president, right? Like, that's weird, I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? Either way, I think that we should jump into the MER and wrap things up for the day. So we have the MER, February 2026. Oh no, I definitely forgot to open up the other MERs. Hold on a second. Let me do my prep work that I'm supposed to do. Yeah, we'll just grab the last two because the ones before that, they forgot to put the MER tag on it. So let's go ahead and jump into this. The MER, which, you know, obviously we looked at Oz's stream from last MER. I do recommend, if you want really good analysis of these kinds of things, to check out Oz's stream. This is Ash Doesn't Know Anything About the Economy and Proves It, February 2026 edition. So let's jump into it. Economic trends: destruction value increased while mining and production value declined. Velocity of IS continues to decrease. The mineral price index continues to decline 52% over the last year. That is a crazy big oof. But so, like, when you see this kind of number, it's one of those things that's very easy to panic about, and then also very easy to interpret incorrectly, right? You know, this is the problem when it comes to these kind of percentages. And this goes back to things like the reign of the Rorqual and other things like that, where it's like, when you see a sharp decline, we also saw this in Plex too, right? When we see a decline in the value of something, is that because something bad is happening, or is it because is it correcting for an overbalance, right? And the issue isn't that the mineral price index has dropped by half. Oh my God, the entire mineral market is collapsing. We're going to actually skip ahead to that particular sheet real quick so we can look at it and see that what has actually happened is that the MMPI has dropped back down from its ridiculous high, right? Because we talk about the reign of the Rorqual. You know, when the reign of the Rorqual ended, which was, you know, in 2020, we see this big spike. There's a bit of a reprieve, but then uprising and on, it goes up, the mineral price index, as people want to build, but less people are actually mining compared to the builders. You know, we see the chokehold on pyrite and other things like that during that time. And then, so since they've been actively doing things like the nullsec changes to mining, the pyrite changes to mining, the new sites that have spawned, the Catalyst major update, or not Catalyst major update, but Catalyst expansion release, etc., we've seen this bringing the mineral price index back down. And while it does seem pretty ridiculous that it's like, oh my God, it's been cut by 50%, at the same time, it's just returning to its value of 2022, still higher than the reign of the Rorqual, right? So if anything, I would say that this is a correction. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so let's jump into it, or the rest of it. We got ship price index down 21% over the past year. That also makes sense. You know, ship prices are going to follow the price of minerals, and module prices are down 13% over last year. Again, minerals going down means that everything goes down. Okay, so let's look. We've got mining, production, and destruction history. So what's fun about this one is, you know, we saw the big uptick in manufacturing, which is the blue line. You know, manufacturing has been pretty high overall. We've had these big spikes, including basically the highest that we've had recorded since 2021. But that industry follows this big mining burst, right? We had this big production burst with no mining uptick, and that was painful. But now we see that the production spike follows just behind the mining spike, which is probably why we're seeing things go down in price, even though like we're seeing a high amount of production. Also, this orange line is destruction, not mining. I was wrong. It's the green line, but everything I just said is still true because the green line goes up right about the same time as the production line goes up. This big spike in destruction is, I'm assuming, horde collapsing and like the fallout from that. But overall, I would say that the numbers look pretty healthy. Production remains very high, if not like at it's one of the highest points it's ever been. Destruction is actually pretty comfortable. We do see like this is the Great War, which was pretty wild. But you know, we did have a spike in probably around October in destruction, and it's remained high since then. But mining has picked up and caught up to destruction. So interesting. Mining by region, we can see that, you know, with October, November, with Catalyst, we see this big spike in mining everywhere else, compared to nullsec. Like a big bite gets taken out of nullsec by what is this? High sec, low sec. Oh no, this is an NPC nullsec. So really, the most of the bite is in high sec and in low sec. Remember, this is a percentage. So even if nullsec was mining the same amount during this time, given the fact that the expansion was mining focused and also like everybody was doing the new epic arc and whatnot, a lot of the mining came in from high sec with a little bit from low sec and took a bite out of nullsec, but then nullsec has now taken back its share of the amount of mining, more or less. Yeah. Production is still pretty flat, although it's interesting to see that a lot of the production, we see this, of the current uptick of production is happening in low sec. We see a slight uptick in high sec, but this slant is more than this slant, probably about twice as much. So as much increase in production as there is in high sec, there's at least that much production increase in low sec in comparison to null sec. That very well could just be, I mean, you can build stuff, especially capitals, like non-super capitals in low sec and reactions. Super capitals, of course, require sovereignty null. Destruction portion, way more fluctuations. But we can see that there's this interesting spike in high sec. But that's in October, November, December time period. So if I remember correctly, there was some ganking stuff going on at that time. There's something that caused this spike, but it wasn't very serious because the ganking bonuses for Crimson Harvest this year wasn't as good, or wasn't. Yeah, it is around the time of the mining bubble. If I remember correctly, there was still like people geared up to go do ganking during Crimson Harvest, but if I remember correctly, the Crimson Harvest loot rules were changed to non-high sec systems, so that might be why it fell off so quickly. But overall, I would say that it's been a pretty healthy mix of like there's spikes that come out of high sec, there's spikes that come out of low sec, there's spikes that come out of null sec. You know, space is dangerous. Is basically what the moral of the story is. Key economic figures by region. We mostly are interested in Pochven, which Pochven has 36 billion versus last month, which is 65 billion. So Pochven mining appears to be like basically cut in half from last year, or from last month. Production, I think this goes from 24 to 34, so actually increased production in Pochven, even though mining is down. And then destruction in Pochven is currently at 3.3 trillion, whereas in the previous month it was 3.5, so 3.5 to 3.3, so roughly the same amount of destruction. And do we get loyalty points in Pochven? I guess no, but we do get NPC bounties. That shouldn't be much though. 32 billion versus last one was 30 billion, so about the same. So it is interesting that the mining has been cut in half and the building is up. Let's see if there's any other like examples of deviations in that. 2 months ago, we see 93 billion mined. So it goes from 93 billion to 65 billion to 36 billion. So we're seeing a month over month pretty significant drop in the amount of minerals being mined in Pochven. I guess that kind of overall tracks in the overall amount of mining. This does have Pochvin. So technically speaking, if we zoom in enough, we might be able to find a green line. I don't think so. Oh, I see. So there's green. So back in July of 2023, there was some mining going on in Pochvin at a noticeable rate, but it hasn't really been statistically relevant since then. Fair enough. And again, I think that with this big burst of mining, almost none of that is coming into Pochvin. It's all null and HiSec mostly. So that would be a bigger reason why it's basically pushed off the chart. Destruction by portion, we do see that Pochvin does have a nice stable amount there, though. Asteroid ore mined over time in February. That's what we're looking at, right? We're looking at February. That's what we're supposed to be looking at. That's correct, right? Hold on. Just want to triple check. Always validate your assumptions. Yes, we're looking at the February one. So asteroid mine over time. We can see here, like this is the effect of catalyst. You know, we see that big spike, which is the same spike that we see in the green chart. It's actually a pretty nice, that's a pretty clean, like you can see like the line goes up and down and then it has this big spike up and stays up at this new level. And we can pretty much go back and see the exact same line here. So that's pretty clean. I like that. I like it when the charts line up correctly. Makes me feel good about the results. But we can see that like a lot of it is in HiSec, but it kind of tapered off from the very beginning. But nullsec remained pretty strong. It's had its own taper off, but it happened later, right? In fact, one could argue since this remained steady, as this taper off happened, more of it happened in nullsec, and then they wrapped up too, or not wrapped up, but you know, whatever, and eventually it tapered down a little bit in February. Or by region. This is when we saw some really interesting stuff last time. Well, actually, I think it's moons, but or by region. We have Innsmother, Wicked Creek, Vale of the Silent, and here we have Innsmother, Wicked Creek, Vale of the Silent. So actually no change here. Yes. But we do have as an absolute, this is like what, 18 billion maybe? We could probably guess. And oh wow, it is higher. Yeah, actually the whole thing, oh no, it's down. Right? This is all down. Everything's a little bit down. And that's true because we see that February, we see a fall off on the line. So we would expect the numbers to be lower overall. And that is what the line has gone down. So we see a lower number overall. It has gone from 22 billion for the top one to 18 billion for the top one. But the overall order of where people are mining is roughly the same from last month. Like where the locations rather. So gas mined over time. Gas is gas, guys. As the events kind of wrap up and aren't doing good, the gas remains kind of a nice little stable, steady point. I did see, however, just for those of you who are interested, the guy who made a Nomad's Tale put out a really interesting video recently that's all about like the various techniques of how to gas huff in wormhole space, and like he's continued to refine his processes. So if you are at all interested in gas huffing in wormhole space, that is an excellent video to go check out. Gas volume by region, number one is Iridia, then Lone Trek, then Tenal. That sounds like it should be about the same. Iridia, Tenal, Lone Trek. Iridia, Lone Trek, Tenal. I mean, you know, they're basically you can flip them if you want. But it's the absolute is over 40 here, under 40 here. So a little bit overall lower gas in the main areas of space. And we can kind of see it trend a little bit down in February. A lot of again, this gas by region isn't going to show in Noikis, you know, wormhole space. So, you know, that's why, you know, we see this stable thing here, but a little bit trending down here, and that gets over disproportionately shown here because this is the low sec mining for the most part. You know, these top things, Iridia, definitely mostly low-sec area. February is a short month. That's true. So we would expect the numbers to go a little bit down overall, but so yeah, that actually could make that, this slant isn't that big. So the majority of that particular difference that I was just pointing out might be, it's 3 days shorter, so 10% or 8% or whatever it is. That actually sounds like a reasonable explanation. Probably better than me trying to see this as a slope down. All right, ice mined over time. Gee, I can't imagine when the winter event happened. Can anybody figure out when the winter event happened? But what we can see is, in spite of the winter event, I think that everybody kind of fell a little bit in love with ice and ice crits, because it was already going to start ticking up. This was obviously around the Catalyst expansion, but honestly, one of the biggest winners from the Catalyst expansion was ice mining. Ice mining crits is just stupid. It's just stupid. Like the amount of the change in productivity due to the way that crits work and how it relates to ice blocks made ice mining, in my opinion, like the biggest winners from Catalyst. And we can see this in the fact that we're just seeing more ice mined. And that's probably actually a really good point, because if you notice here, everything before this has been incredibly stable. And like one of the reasons why this is so stable is because there's only so much ice in the game, right? Kind of like moons, but people can always put down more moons or tear up some moons because of the fact that ice only spawns in specific areas. The ice gets mined out. Like the main constraint on how much ice gets mined is more about how much ice is in space than how many people are wanting to mine ice. So it makes sense that the overall flow of ice throughout the year remains relatively stable. However, crits make ice out of nowhere. Like it's ice for free. So that means that even with nothing else changing, the total amount of M3 of ice will go up because they're already mining out the belts as fast as they can. Like the belts get mined out. So the amount of ice that's being mined and the amount of ice in the belts are basically the same. They don't really have waste as much in ice because there's no crystals. Which part is true? I would say all of that is true, but no, the extra blocks that you get from crits, yes, the extra materials that you get from critting comes from nowhere. It's magic. It's free blocks, free rocks that you get without extracting from the rock. So like, here's how it works. Let's say there's 1,000 ore in a rock and you mine it, and you can do 100 per cycle, right? Just to make the numbers easy. On a normal cycle, the cycle finishes, you remove 100 ore, there's 900 left in the rock. If it procs a waste, right, the waste version, then basically 100 of it enters into your cargo hold and an extra 100 of it is destroyed. So you end up with 100 in your cargo hold and there's 800 left in the rock. If you crit, it doubles the amount of ore that you have. Now, granted, obviously, depending on the situation, it can be more than 2. In fact, 2 is like the basic, but we're just going to call it double for the sake of it. So when that happens, you would have 200 units of ore in your cargo bay, but there would still be 900 units of ore in the rock. That extra 100, the extra rocks that come from that crit is free. They don't come from the rock itself. Same is true with ice. This is why Abyssal ice mining is modules and stuff. It's so ridiculous. I have a video where I show, like, I had a single ice miner crit and I got 7 or 8 blocks of ice instead of 1. So if you think about it, like 6 or 7 of those blocks came from nowhere. So, all right. Something to keep in mind. And that's why I think that, like, even with the same amount of ice mining happening, we're going to see a slightly elevated amount of blocks that are being mined. volume by region, we have the Forge Metropolis in every shore, and it was the Forge Metropolis in every shore, and that makes sense. And we should see, so 5.5 billion versus over 6 billion. But I think, I mean, there has been a trend down, especially in nullsec. But that is not nullsec, this is highsec. We do see a slight trend down. Again, though, going back to the previous point, the numbers are going to be a little bit down because February is shorter. But yeah. Moon minerals by source. R4 moons. I find this fascinating. So the trend to continue to swap from metanoxes to manual mining continues. What's interesting about this is that, like, so normal mining actually produces more materials than the moon mine, or than metanoxes, and we can kind of see that too, right? Like the line over here when the metanoxes was higher, the overall was actually lower. Now back here when it was mostly metanox, or even more metanoxes, it actually was a little bit higher. But like for a little while, people were just not doing R4s as much. So we see the decline in the green, and that also represents a decline overall. However, we see the green decline further, but the orange line, the overall total line, go up. And I think that that's because as people switch from metanoxes to athanors, metanoxes aren't as efficient when it comes to how much material it comes in. So the same number of moons being mined by metanoxes won't produce the same amount of materials as one that's mined via people. So epilepsy missiles might have impacted mining a smidge. I mean, I assume not. I mean, why would you? Miners aren't necessarily shooting missiles very much, but no, I find this is very healthy in my opinion. I think that R4s, like balance-wise, should probably be hard to justify for a metanox. Like, it's a good thing for a bunch of people in high sec to do, where it's like the only place you could do it, and it's like a nice little personal belt for your corp. It's good for that, but like metanoxes can't be deployed there. So this is like only in low sec or null sec. You can see that people have stopped caring to run their metanoxes as metanoxes have become more expensive to run overall for various reasons. And so people have swapped over it, but it actually ends up with more R4 material over time, which is kind of interesting. R8s, however, people have just stopped caring about them. People have been shutting off their metanoxes because they're not worth running them on it. And those have largely not been replaced by people because, unlike R4s, so the thing is that as R4 is valuable, you can do that in high sec. So it's like a nice little thing for people to do. Whereas in like everything else is low sec or null sec. So like the question is, why would you mine an R8 when you could be mining an R64, right? And so as metanoxes got rebalanced to be less efficient, we see in R4 more people moving to manually mining, whereas with R8 we see more people just abandoning it completely, right? The overall flow goes down. I don't know how much that affects T2 production. It might, certain pieces of T2 production, but I also think that Moon Goo has probably been overproduced a lot. And so it may take a little while for anybody to care enough to fix this downturn in how much R8 is being produced. R16 remains a lot more level. You can really tell where the break-even point on metanoxes is, right? Like R4's not profitable as much anymore. R8's not really profitable anymore. R16's obviously still pretty good, right? That line is much flatter than the other ones. We haven't seen nearly as much of a loss in the R16 Athanor mine or metanox mining. With R32s, again, I think it's just sort of a straight line. it's more or less a straight line. It actually may have even ticked up. We could see that people have moved their Metanoxes from R4s and R8s down to R32s, because it looks like the green line has gone a little bit up, but not by much. And then the R64 is always valuable. So, you know, this chart doesn't really change that much. Metanoxes is very greedy. A lot of it's manually mined and has been that way for a while. This is very much something that's controlled by how much people can actually, like, how much is produced, not how much people can mine it. Like, you can just assume that most R64s are mined completely out all the time, because they're the most valuable thing to figure out how to do that with. Now, it is true that a lot of those R64s are in low sec, and a lot of those have been under control of Snuff. And like, I know that there was some weird stuff with Snuff for a little while, but overall, it looks like things are. Meat is definitely still on the table, as it were, when it comes to R64s. Hey, thank you for those likes and 100%. Please like the stream. Moon material value by region. Ooh, this could be a good one. This is the one that like freaked us out the other day, right? Like the last month one. Hold on. All right, so we have Veil of the Silent here at just under 1.2 trillion. We have Veil of the Silent in third with under a trillion, with Dedoroid in first place, with Innsmother second at just above and just under a trillion. And then this month we have Veil of the... Wow. Dedoroid falls to fourth place. Veil of the Silent comes screaming back up to first place with more than even before. And we do see if we can just compare these two real quick. So Veil of the Silent has just under 0.2 trillion here, and over. So we've seen an increase in the number of Metanoxes, or the amount of material that's being mined by Metanoxes, or the value of those materials. I actually think that a lot of this difference can actually be attributed to, or at least this difference can be attributed to the changing in moon material value, but we'll see that more when we get down to the breakdown. I just find it interesting that, like, okay, well, did Veil of the Silent guys drop more Metanoxes, or did the value of the stuff that's coming out of the Metanoxes increase, right? Although I guess the mineral values drop. We'll look. Fountain. I know that there's like this dramatic change, and we're like, oh yeah, this is like things being online. The other problem with moon mining averages is that because they're in cycles, often you'll see like, okay, well, 1 month it'll be big, and then the next month it'll be small, because they, like, it just depends on whether or not their monthly cycle or whatever happens to hit during that time or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. There's been some wars and conflict and stuff, but I don't see anything too dramatic in that in this area, you know, in these charts. Faucets, we can see that bounties were at 57 trillion 2 months ago. They're at 56 trillion last month, and they're at 48 trillion this month. Again, a lot of that might be attributed to by the fact that it's a shorter month. But we can also look at ESS main bank auto payment at 25.7 for this month, 29 for last month. So yeah, I usually use the auto bank payment to see whether or not those bounties are mostly coming out of nullsec or not. These numbers seem to correlate in the fact that, like, this doesn't seem like a big shift into where people are doing stuff, but again, most of this can be accounted for by the fact that we have a shorter month overall. Let's see, anything else that's worth looking at here? Insurance, 4.5 trillion versus 5.0. Yeah, a lot of these things kind of just show a little bit that it was just a shorter month. Transaction tax at 30 versus 36. I mean, that's a little bit more, but yeah. Commodities and faucets over time. So we can see January and February. Well, let's see if we go to the February one, or the January one, I should say. So at the last time we looked at this, Overseer's effects was dropping back down from a high, and sleeper components were rising. And now we can see sleeper components have finished rising, and kind of it wasn't continuing to rise. It was just another spike. But we do see that sleeper components overall have been creeping back up since their kind of collapse in October. But they're sort of it's hit a new high point of the stability since this crash in July. I assume that a lot of this up in this, I might want to go look at a different year's chart, because I wonder how much of this extra sleeper components came from the Drifter crisis. I'm not 100% sure. Overseer's effects have fallen back down to normal levels. Triglavian data remains relatively stable. Road drone beacons are what they do. Yeah, everything looks kind of normal here. Nothing too dramatic to talk about. Here we go. So we can see bounty prizes over time. There's this weird dip here. I mean, obviously there are dips in different points, but I wonder why this dip happened. Because it recovered all right. That would have been in February. Did everybody just stop ratting because we were shooting at something? Was there a ban wave? Oh, ooh. Maybe. No, this is the epilepsy missiles. Everybody stopped ratting because they couldn't play the game without having an epileptic seizure. That's my explanation now. Commodity market has stabilized. You know, this is event stuff usually. Incursions remain stable and strong. Triglavian invasions definitely are not as high as they were like last year when the gravy train was going. But again, it looks like things are slowly, the things that got knocked down before are creeping back up is kind of the story that I'm seeing. LP store is down, which might be less people doing faction warfare. But also, like, what is down, right? We just had an expansion, and so we're now in the lull period between expansions. That's another piece to it too. And in fact, based on that, actually these numbers look pretty good, honestly, considering the fact that it was a shorter month, and considering this is like a low news time of year. The numbers that we have here are actually better than I would have expected. Money supply. We see that the money supply, though, again, we were kind of watching. I'm curious about how much of this spike up was from people returning to the game because of the free Omega, and it hasn't quite like fallen back down again. So I think it's like 90 days or something before they count them as being offline again. But we do see that like this wave and this wave almost track 1-to-1. There's very little difference in corporation value. So this is almost exclusively from players joining and leaving the game rather than corporations. Because like even if it was players generating new wealth, you would expect to see a pretty consistent corporation value going up too through like taxes and stuff too. So not nearly as much as you would think. So I imagine that the majority of this change is literally people logging back into the game that have been out of the game for a while, and their value now being counted. Velocity risk continues to go down. Everybody panic, the sky's falling, etc., etc. I know a lot of people that used to call this as like a big bad thing. This is how much ISK gets traded around. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that that's too bad of a thing. The biggest thing here is that there's been so much disruption with Plex, right? And in fact, we can continue to see like the higher up the chart you get, the more impacted by Plex prices they are, right? Because the orange is all things, the purple is without contracts, and the pink is without Plex related items. So we can see like a lot of the actual formation of this line comes from the Plex-related items, and it's just amplified by the other two. There has been, Plex has dropped from like 5.5 down to almost 4.2, I think now. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was a big piece to it. Here's the big one. MMPI is crashed. The value of minerals, as we talked about before, has just been pummeled by, it was already being affected by like Legion updates and stuff, but the Catalyst expansion, like it's gonna be, it was 6.5 for a bit. Oh, what a nightmare. Actually, no, we can just check that out right now. Hold on, we can check Plex Anywhere. I forgot. I was like, oh no, I'm in G. I can't. I would need to go to GDA, but then I just remembered you can get Plex Anywhere now. Plex. So we can see. Woof. Woof. That's brutal. Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, or rather, yeah, hold on. Sorry, when the Plex change happened, because remember, when the Plex change happened, they had to like restart everything. So this chart only starts when the Plex price change happened. So when that happened, it was at 6 even, basically. And now it's at 4.420. Hell yeah. Nice. That's wild. We're gonna have to see how this goes. Like this is the perfect example of like, this is not Plex being at 4.2 isn't the end of the world. Like, I wouldn't say that Plex being at 4.2 is too low. I would argue that Plex being at 6 was probably radically too high, right? Like, I would argue that this is closer to, like, if CCP sees this, they're probably more like, oh yeah, this is good. This is what we want. Well, they probably want it to even out at some point, but like, this was the whole point of their objectives. So it's not the end of the world. The sky isn't falling. This is actually what they were trying to do with their changes. So I guess good time to want to buy Plex. Like, the good time to Plex your account for sure, or make yourself a new skin. But either way, the mineral price index is continued to be down. The secondary price index is a little bit pushed. Everything is kind of pushed down a little bit. They finally caught up with the mineral price index. But let's look at, since 2018, look at that. You can totally see like it was down low, and then this is scarcity, post scarcity, and then the Legion update really starts to fix stuff. We can see consumer price index. The downturn is mostly on Tech 1 ships and modules, which tracks like that. That makes sense. Like, those would be the most impacted by mineral changes. Tech 2 rigs are also down, and that, I mean, sure. Tech 3 ships, nope, that isn't what it is. Tech 2 ships is also starting to trend down. Again, that I'm going to be interested to see what happens with R8 material specifically, given what we saw about how much was being mined. Like, it's been cut down by almost a third. And then accessories are going a little bit back up. So then we have the mineral price index, and we can see that, oh man, it's just a bloodbath. It's just a bloodbath. We have low-end minerals at the top, high-end minerals on the bottom. And the low-end minerals have started to decline less, and high-end minerals even had a good month as things were falling apart. This makes sense because, like, man, a lot of this was the overinflated value of pyrite. So we can see, like, this is the value of pyrite going up, and this is the value of pyrite going down. Almost like, yeah. But we can also see that, like, basically since 2025, we've seen nothing but high-end minerals go down and down and down. Primary producer index, we see raw moon materials actually have gone up. I wonder, again, like, so with all of these minerals, this is what I was thinking about, and I wonder if this is going to be the thing to pay attention to for the next little while. Because what we're seeing up here is that overall, moon mining is either steady or down. Hey, 07. Right? Depending on which moon type it is. So, but minerals have gone up. You know, the choke point in any given thing is going to be the thing that starts to become disproportionately more valuable, right? Like as nullsecers started to mine more, even when CCP gave them the ability to mine lower end materials, they didn't do that because, like, why would I mine a low end material when I can mine a high end material? Even though I do, like, people do need the low end material arguably more, on an absolute basis, it's still not as valuable to mine. And so I'm going to, as a miner, I'm going to preface the one that is the most valuable to mine at any given time. So it's going to take a little while for, like, the choke points to force the issue. And even then, most of those people are going to fix it by mining more in high sec, right? And importing it in. So as overall mining goes up, right, as that giant spike in mining ore goes up without a change in moon mining materials, especially R8 and beyond, especially R8, which does not, it's been cut by a third. So we're seeing the amount of moon materials being brought down and the amount of ore being brought up, which means that the choke point for Tech 2 materials are going to shift from minerals to moon mining, or, you know, moon goo. And I think that that's why we see what we see here, where raw moon materials actually have started to trend up a little bit. Actually, yeah, processed moon materials, planetary specialized, planetary raw. So planetary PI and moon materials have had a reasonably okay time of it compared to everything else, especially. And I think that that's why. Like, as ore becomes more readily available, then naturally your choke point tends to shift more towards moon and PI. Yeah, and asteroids have gone down. But we don't see a big change in decryptors and data cores, probably because they're very regular. They're able to be sourced very, very easily. And these kinds of ramifications, like as if manufacturing shifts more to T2 or whatever, then you would see that change over time. Secondary producer price index. Ooh, that's a big red dot. That's a big red dot with salvaged materials. So salvaged materials saw a pretty hard time of it, especially during the Drifter crisis. A lot of extra salvage got produced. Then we saw it kind of start to recover. And then this last month, big down for salvaged materials again. We did see a change in the rig prices up, which, okay, sure. I'm not sure if I can think of anything that's, like, objectively creating that to happen, but yeah. And then accessories are a little bit up. Module and price indexes. We can see that modules and ships are down 21%, modules are down 12%. But again, like, a lot of this is just a correction. We can see from April, like, as things, you know, CCP has been doing stuff from the Legion Major Update on to make things more healthier. The practical ramification of that is ships and modules become cheaper, which, of course, we looked at it earlier. Tech 1 is going to be more impacted than Tech 2 because Tech 1 is just minerals. And largest battles. That is it for the economic report for February 2026. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is there anything I might have missed when it comes to these trends? I think that overall, I find this extremely positive. You know, this is not as bad as, like, the summer when it comes to being a lull. But, you know, if we look at January of last year versus January of this year, that's a big jump. Versus January of 2022, you know, year over year, it's gotten better, right? Or January 2024, January 2025, January 2026. So production has definitely gone up. January 2023. Yeah, by almost every metric, I think actually by every metric, we are now at a better state than we were in January of last year, according to this chart. So overall, I think this is good. And I think that people are excited. I think that, I hope that this year is going to be exciting. I think that CCP has some pretty interesting stuff cooking. So the fact that things are kind of so, I guess, active right now, considering the fact that we're kind of in a dead time, I think it's pretty good. But let me know what you think. Other than that, do we have anything else we want to cover today? Do we have anything else I wanted to cover today? I'm going to wrap things up for this part, and then if we have anything else to cover, then let me know. Otherwise, we'll wrap things up for good. I've been Ashrathi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even to context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys for checking this out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this monthly economic report, the future of EVE, etc., etc. You know, and I do want to give a special shout out to my top tier supporters: 745 MPSI, Arydanika the Queen, Bad Boy Smooth, Evo Elite, Erladis, Elange, Flash Gordon, Grims, May, Malak, Starfire, Malin, Mercuton, Mayak, Michael, Nihilim, LM1, Sheesh, Susuro, Thranz, and Rid. Thank you all so much. Thank you for all of you who participate, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. Make sure you like the channel and you comment in it, especially if you're watching this after the fact. But for all of you who are here, thank you for hanging out. This has been, I hope, at least a little bit of an exciting stream, all things considered. We got to blow up a building. That's great. Yeah, I think that's it. So this weekend, we have our normal moon mining. I am interested in doing a fleet next week, tomorrow, but I haven't quite figured out what I want to do. So if somebody is interested in something, hit me up so that way we can figure out something to do. But next week, also, especially you guys who are members, I'm going to put up a poll on YouTube for members for what we talk about next week. Now, obviously, we might have the presidential election, but I definitely want to see about what other things that we want to cover. We didn't do that this week because I was expecting the presidential election to come, and B, I had my own ideas of what we wanted to do this week. So that's all coming. Yada, yada, yada. Thank you guys so much. We'll just wrap this up now then, because I don't see anything else on my things to talk about list. Let me just one more time double triple check, because it is Friday. Make sure to get your free skill points, etc., in the New Eden store. Rodin helped us in game, got my respect. Wait, how did Rodin help you in game? How did Rodin help you in game? Nothing there. Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Yeah, I think that's it for this week. So, I will say, by the way, also, if you haven't gotten your million free skill points, get that. If you haven't joined the corporation or the Discord, make sure to at least join the Discord so you can join in the conversation. That's very cool and important. Also, check out my second channel. It should be linked down below, Ashrathi Decanted. I'm going to probably focus on trying to put up some more videos there this weekend. So I don't know if it's going to be edited. If I do stream this weekend, it's going to be Star Wars: The Old Republic again, continuing the Imperial Agent quest line. DM me in Discord if you want to influence my whether or not that happens. And of course, I videotaped some more videos of my puppy. Those need to go up as well. So check those out. Blah, 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 blah. I've been Ashrathi. Let's just wrap things up. I've been Ashrathi, the voice of New Eden. Until next time, I'll see you in space. Seventh Heaven, actually. Hit me up after this on Discord if you can. I want to talk to you about a couple things. But otherwise, yep. Let's go.
For every city